and this is take 2. Basically what happens, I did do a recording of this video for the whole fucking hour, and then I go into it and I just realized my mic wasn't on the entire time. Anyways, what I'm going to be going into, just so you know, is a interview with Ilia Topuria and Ariel Helwani. Ariel Helwani asked him about a bunch of fighters, for example, about Paddy Pimblett, about Nate Diaz. Well, he made a comment about Nate Diaz. He talks about Arman Tsarukyan in this, and he also talks about his upcoming fight with Justin Gaethje as well. And then he goes into the fight with Makhachev and the whole shabacle there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through all of those things, and I'm not going to take you through the entire interview, but I'm going to take you through everything where he talks about each fighter specifically. And just let's get ready for it because it's pretty interesting, and yeah, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. I think the sport does need people like Ilia Topuria. So let's go ahead and without further ado, bear with me 1 second. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the interview.
By now, June 14th, White House, front lawn, title fight, Justin Gaethje, main event. It's the slot that everyone in this sport wanted. He got it. He said he was going to get it last September. It's amazing. And we could finally welcome back to the program right here and now the former UFC featherweight champion, the current UFC lightweight champion, El Matador, the pride of both Georgia and, of course, Spain, Ilia Topuria. Kind enough to join. Is he there?
Man.
There he is. There he is.
I love the introduction.
Ilia,
I loved it.
It has been
How are you doing?
I have been bothering your team. You know I've been bothering your team a lot about having...
You're never bothering. You're never bothering. I'm so sorry. I wanted to join you many, many times, but, you know, I was going like through a lot of things.
Sure.
And yeah, but here we are.
Here we are, and we're very appreciative and grateful that you're here. How are you doing, Ilia? How are you doing?
Very good, very good. Finally in Miami, finishing my training camp here, working as always. I'm very happy, very grateful with every breath that gives me life, you know.
Of course. You know, sometimes in life you say, how are you to someone when you see them, but it just kind of means nothing. I want to reiterate the how are you, because you have been through a lot recently, and I don't want to go into the personal stuff, but your fans were wondering and worried about you and wondering when you would come out. So look, come out of all this.
Better than ever.
Good.
Ariel, better than ever. Yeah, I had go through a lot of things. I had my ups and downs, but now I'm perfect, ready to rock and roll.
Do you feel like you have a new lease on life now?
Yeah, exactly. I feel that I'm in a different point, and yeah, I have grown so much in this last month since my last fight. I have learned so many things, so can't wait to fight again, to be inside that octagon.
Do you feel like you've missed it? It's been, by the time you will have fought, it will be almost exactly a year between fights for you, and you weren't injured necessarily. Exactly. So do you feel like you have an itch, like you really, really missed all of it?
To be honest, I missed it. At some point, I missed it. I don't really miss the weight cut and all that, even if at this point, I don't have to cut so much as when I was fighting in the featherweight division. But this is actually I would say the only time that I've been able to enjoy the whole process. You know, I'm so happy to going through this preparation with my team, finishing the training camp in Miami, surrounded with great people. So I felt very happy and ready to go.
You're still about 2 months away. Why come to Miami around 2 or so months before the fight?
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of weird. He said that he was in Miami, but he's going to give an answer in a second. And I think that has to do with something. I think it basically has to do with his personal issue with his ex-wife, who's also from Miami. Milk Boys really, you know, cursed that one, to be honest with you guys. If you know, you know. But basically, the Milk Boys were like, oh, you can't find a wife from Miami. And then here we are. So, yeah, honestly, I don't wish anything like that on anyone. But let's go ahead and hear what he has to say.
You know, I want to get used to the timeline, to the weather, to everything. And I think that I'm going to move, like I'm going to actually live in Miami for the next 1 or 2 years. So, yeah.
Okay.
I had to come here. I have a lot of things going on, you know.
Yes. And I want to ask you about some of those things, but also last fall, you predicted, you wrote on Twitter, you will be on the White House card, right? You said it long before this fight card was even made. Can I ask first and foremost, why did you feel so strongly that you would be on the card?
It may sounds a little bit cocky, but I feel that I'm one of the biggest names right now that the UFC has. So if they are going to have one of the biggest events in their history, they are going to have they have to have their biggest stars in that card. So I knew it since the first moment that event was announced that I will be in that card.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, they do need stars, and Ilia Topuria, whether you like him or not, he's a big star in Spain. I'm a big fan of his coming up, and he had that whole thing with Paddy Pimblett, the hand sanitizer boy. I don't know if I was a big fan during that time. I thought Ilia Topuria was an interesting character, but it wasn't like I wasn't like a diehard fan like how I feel about Sean O'Malley, where like whether he wins or loses, I'm a fan of his regardless, right? And I do think he's a good fighter, but I also think that he needs to focus a little bit more on his grappling game. In the same breath, going back to Ilia Topuria though, with him, I think he has the potential to be a really good star and a really big star in the fighting world, especially if he, does what he says he's going to do to Islam Makhachev, which he'll be talking about in this interview as well. And the other thing too is with Paddy Pimblett, I think he would have been a really massive star if he would have had that fight against Paddy Pimblett, like they also said in Spain or Liverpool, where they could actually have that match, and I think it would just be incredible. Obviously, Paddy Pimblett just fought Justin Gaethje at the beginning of this year, loses to Justin Gaethje, gets outclassed. I think we also had another fighter earlier today who was talking about that fight, in fact, and he was saying, I think it was Josh Barnett, if I'm not mistaken, but Josh Barnett was essentially saying that was a really bad, game plan for both fighters, and essentially, I think Justin Gaethje, clearly had some sort of staph thing going on his neck, as you could probably see. And he probably was on the antibiotics and his healing wasn't there. That being said, I feel like Paddy Pimblett should have showed up enough for him to be able to outclass Justin Gaethje, and he didn't show that at all. And he could have had a big payday. In fact, we're going to go into it a little bit later, but Ilia Topuria actually tweeted out to Paddy Pimblett afterwards, and we'll see what he's going to say once he brings that up. But yeah, I mean, I'm just curious if you guys haven't subscribed already. Please feel free to subscribe. But also, if you have any opinions based on what I just shared as well. But yeah, let's get back into it.
Surprised that you're on the card, but I will tell you, I was surprised they.
Me neither.
Okay, I know that, but I will tell you, I was surprised they put you in the main event, and I'll explain why. Not because you're not deserving, but because, as you know, this is the White House. And it's America's birthday. And I think there's a very good chance you win this fight in a very violent fashion. And I didn't think that the White House would want a non-American to knock out an American in the main event on the White House lawn. You know what I mean? From a symbolic standpoint. And so they're kind of playing with fire here. Do you understand what I'm saying here? And are you somewhat 100%. Surprised?
I understand it. I would love to give you the answer why they decide to put me as a main event. I don't have it, unfortunately. But what I know is that I'm going to be the main event.
Yes, and
that's the most important thing.
And you're obviously pretty confident that you're going to win in pretty violent fashion. You've already updated your bio.
I wouldn't even show up to that event. I have a lot of confidence. I know that I'm going to win. I'm going to win. It's not only that I'm going to win in fashion. And I'm very happy to have an opponent like Justin Gaethje. He's a legend in the sports. He's the highlights. And I can't wait to share the octagon with him. I know that it's going to be a very entertaining fight for the fans, and hopefully they are going to enjoy it.
Usually when you compete these days, you're the fan favorite. Do you think on that night, because you're fighting an American, all the important people in attendance will be rooting against you?
Yeah, this question kind of reminds me, before he answers the question, I'll just share with you what I think. This question reminds me of like how I felt when I went to UFC 264 to see Conor McGregor fight against Dustin Poirier for the third time. And it was in Las Vegas. I had actually just gotten over and had unfortunately I had a stroke. And then this is back in 2021. And I had just gotten recovered and stuff like that. and really wanted to see this fight. I was really excited about it, and I was like, oh my god, I've never been to I've been to a UFC event. Wait, did I go to a UFC? Was that my first UFC event? Yeah, that was my first UFC event. Yeah, so I'd never been to a UFC event. I was a big fan of the UFC. I've never been to a UFC event before. I didn't have any idea when you go there that you can't hear the commentators, because I just thought, like, as you see on the screen, you see this, you have the same experience. And then when I went there, I was like, I'm so used to the commentators, I can't really, like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. But nonetheless, I went there, and when I went there, I was like praying to God, because obviously I'm a massive Conor McGregor fan, and I wanted to see him win against Dustin Poirier, especially in the third fight. Although I felt like kind of sorry for Dustin, the way McGregor was, so to speak. But at the same time, I'm a big fucking fan of McGregor, and I wanted to see him win so bad. I remember praying, and I'm like next to my sister, and I'm just praying and praying and praying, like in my mind, right? And I'm like, to Jesus, to Muhammad, whoever the gods are up there, whoever wants to listen, whatever universe, whatever God in whatever universe wants to listen to me, please answer my prayers and give Conor McGregor the dub. And then Conor McGregor goes and actually breaks his ankle, which is it was a pretty terrible injury. But that being said, I'm sure everybody's gonna feel that same way during the White House card, where they're gonna feel like they want Justin Gaethje to win the fight against Ilia Topuria, and of course they would. Who wouldn't? Who wants fucking I love Ilia Topuria as a fighter, and there's nothing against him either. But who wants to see him win when it's the American, the UFC White House card, and people are gonna remember this for ages to come, especially if he does it in an emphatic fashion, like he says he's going to, and he knocks him out bad and cold. Woo! So it'll be like a Max Holloway fight all over again. That said, I can imagine all of us, if you're American or whoever's watching this, or if you are an American, and you would be like, oh my God, oozing, praying to gods, all the gods up there, come on, please, please, please give Justin Gaethje the W. And obviously, I don't think you can count Justin Gaethje out either. Justin Gaethje is an incredible fighter. I don't think anyone saw Justin Gaethje winning against Paddy Pimblett. In fact, Ilia Topuria himself will admit it in a minute that he didn't even foresee that happening either. He figured, this is why I don't bet on UFC fights or fights in general, because I feel like there's no point of betting on them. You would never know what it's going to be, and it's easy to say that, hindsight 2020, once the fight is over and you're like, oh yeah, I did think it was going to go that way if it went that way, right? Or the way you thought, or whatever the case is, right? So you just can't always rely on the betting odds and all that stuff. It's how many fight cards have we seen in the recent year where they're a bunch of upsets because of the favorite got outclassed or whatever, or didn't really win the fight, or had a competitive fight with the person that was the underdog, right? So you could just in fighting, you could just never count anyone out. Honestly, you can never count anyone out. And all of this to say, I just think that the whole of America is going to be rooting against Ilia Topuria. So let's see what he has to say.
I had a lot of place in this sport. I have been the underdog, the fan favorite. I've been in many places, so I don't care. I don't care what's happening in the external world.
I'm just curious out of you guys, because I don't remember recalling myself being a really fan favorite of Ilia Topuria during a fight, because he's fought Max Holloway. I'm a big fan favorite of Max Holloway. Obviously Alex Volkanovski, and then obviously Charles Oliveira. He's gonna knock out all our fucking fan favorites, all the fan favorites, all our favorite fighters. But okay, that said, I'm just curious to hear what you guys think about Ilia Topuria's career, and when would you root for him in a fight that he's already won, or whatever the case is. I mean, the Josh Emmett fight, I don't remember. I was kind of indifferent with the Josh Emmett fight. I don't remember rooting for Josh Emmett. I also don't remember rooting for Ilia Topuria. What happened was I went to one of the UFC fights in Austin, Texas, where Josh Emmett fought Calvin Kattar, and at the time I was more of a Calvin Kattar fan. So I was a little bit disappointed with that fight, because I felt like Calvin Kattar had actually won the fight, and they gave the nod to Josh Emmett. So that's the reason why I'm not a big Josh Emmett fan. And then also the way Josh Emmett I feel boasted about winning that fight. In my head, wasn't like really. I wasn't really a fan of his commentary after that.
You know, there's no doubt the UFC has said this isn't a political event, and I understand where they're coming from where they say this, but you do represent Spain and Georgia. Will you be able to do so at the White House? You know, the Spanish Prime Minister, not the biggest fan of the current regime. Like, do you get questions about that back home, about how you're going to represent Spain in such an important part of America?
I don't really understand the question, but no.
Like, will they let you have the flag? Will they let you represent your country, even though it's all about America?
Oh, I don't know any of those details, to be honest. I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
I didn't see yet the whole schedule of the UFC. Normally, they used to send us like the whole rules of the event, but I don't have any of that yet. So
okay.
Ariel does ask this question a lot. Like he even talked to Mike a lot about the fight he had this weekend, and saying that like he was yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you should be able to like represent wherever you're from if you're proud of being where you're from as well. I don't know why the UFC does this, but I'm also not that interested to know how the fighters feel about it. I guess if that makes sense. And I didn't even know that the Spanish, whoever he is not very a fan of this. Honestly, I don't listen to politics, so yeah, let's go.
I don't know.
When you were watching Justin fight Paddy, were you rooting for Paddy because of your history, so that he would be the next guy that you fight?
Normally, I'm the kind of guy that in my head, whatever's gonna happen is good for me. But yeah, I was at some point I was rooting for Paddy because I was thinking that fight will be much bigger than the Justin fight. But everything happens for a reason. You know what I mean?
Dude, his English has got so much better, and I love the point that he just made there. Like, and his mindset is really awesome. Like everything that happens for him is good for him, is what he said, and I love the way he thinks about things. But yeah, I think the way they had that rivalry in the UFC cage after Ilia Topuria wins against Charles Oliveira, that was a big moment where it got all of us fans super excited. I mean, for me, it got me very excited. And if you look at like the way he felt about that fight, you can tell that he was hoping for the biggest fight because you can see it here, right? So you can see it here basically where he said, you know, Ilia Topuria says, "Little sausage, the only thing you had to do was beat a 38-year-old guy. You just lost the biggest paycheck of your life," which is true, but he also lost the biggest paycheck of his life. "You were going to get rich if you won. Justin, all I can say is congratulations, and I'd like to just tell you to get ready, but you're screwed no matter what." So this is Ilia Topuria tweeting this right after the Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett fight. Now, with all of that being shared, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts on that. Because did you guys coming into this fight, you know, the Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje fight, who did you think had it? Like, I think Colin and Mo would both say that they thought Paddy Pimblett would have the fight. Maybe not. I don't know. We'd have to ask him on the next podcast. But I'm just curious to hear what you guys think. Like, what are your thoughts on this fight? Did you think Paddy Pimblett was going to win, or do you think Justin Gaethje was going to win? So let's get into the rest of the interview with Ilia Topuria.
Were you surprised that the fight played out that way?
I was a little surprised. Yeah, I was a little surprised of how bad Paddy really is.
You weren't expecting that. Were you expecting him to win?
I was expecting him to win, to be honest. I was expecting him to take Justin down, to, I don't know, to do a different fight, like to really fight. But what he did inside the octagon in that fight, it surprised me a little bit. He really proved that he's a little sausage.
Do you think
I love that. Yeah, I love using Paddy Pimblett's words against him. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a massive Paddy Pimblett fan. And I'm you know, a lot of these people like that message me on my channel are like a purist for the MMA world and the UFC. I'm not like a so-called purist. Like, I'm a purist to some extent, but I also love the entertainment aspect of it as well. That's like the biggest thing for me. I love the entertainment aspect of it, and I really, really enjoy the fact that like you could be a fighter, but you can also be very entertaining. In fact, I did a video yesterday about this exact thing where Dana White talks about the UFC being very star-driven, and also where Ronda Rousey talks about, it's not just your job to have the fight and fight the fight. It's your job to actually be a star, to sell the fight itself, to make people interested in not just the fight itself, but also interested in yourself itself as a fighter, right? To sell your fights as a fighter, to be interested in you. It's your job to make those fans excited about that. And I know I hear stuff like, people from the East Coast, like Ray Longo, which I'm a big fan of Ray Longo, just to be clear. But Ray Longo speaking about like Aljamain Sterling and saying, he at some point Aljamain Sterling didn't even want to do any media, and he was against the whole media thing. And Ray Longo's kind of like supporting Aljamain Sterling about that whole attitude about not wanting to do media. In my opinion, it's just the worst way to think about it. Like even earlier, I was going to point out as well with Ilia Topuria, like he talks about like having this mindset that whatever happens is good for him, and it's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy, which I think is incredible. I think it's something that Aljamain Sterling could learn and stuff like that. Aljamain Sterling just has this like, and people say this, and he says it himself. Like he contradicted himself earlier today. He did a podcast with Josh Thompson, and he said something on there. He goes, "I speak facts," and then he pertained to talk about something else that had no factual information. It was all emotionally driven, and it was all opinionated. And it was like, dude, you are an emotional person. That's completely fine. I'm an emotional person. Like it's completely fine. We're driven by emotion. That's absolutely fine. But like you can't claim something you're not. Like, bro, you're not factually. I mean, I'm not trying to like argue semantics here, but all I'm trying to say is that Aljamain Sterling just loves to complain about everything and never likes to create positivity or have a positive attitude. What I love about Ilia Topuria is he's very positive. He reminds me of like when I started my marketing agency many, many years ago. And this is not to do with my marketing agency, by the way, but just to give you guys like an understanding. I had like this mind, body, spirit connection, and it was like everything was in harmony with each other. And that's exactly what he's going through. Is he's pretty much like manifesting his own future by believing in himself and believing in everything, and at the same time putting the work in to go ahead and achieve the goals that he desires to achieve. That's what I do like about him.
He can rebound from this.
Rebound from what? From a lose, of course, but how he's gonna gain the skills, the technique in the sport, like that's basically impossible. He needs to die and be burned again.
So I don't agree with Ilia Topuria here. Like I understand what he's saying, that he needs to die and be born again, referring to Paddy Pimblett, to be able to bridge the gap between his technical skills that he has in grappling or striking, so to speak, right? Per se. Now, the reason why I don't agree with that is because, and obviously just to like clarify, I'm not a fighter. I don't train. I used to train jiu-jitsu. I don't train anymore currently. But I don't agree with that, because where there's a will, there's a way. And I do believe that like if Paddy Pimblett truly wanted to invest all the time and energy he had and become obsessed with being the best, even in this point of his career, I think he can do that. Like I really do think he can do that. And I think it's possible. Now, is he going to do that? Is it actually going to happen? That's the part I'm not sure about. Like the whole Max Holloway stuff. Like you see Max Holloway lose to Volkanovski 3 times, but every time he came back even better and better and better. And it's actually kind of a big gift for Max Holloway to lose to Charles Oliveira, to lose to Alex Volkanovski, because those losses are just going to make him even a better and better fighter. And if you watch like Max Holloway's like mindset even before, when he was a champion, he was like he's not really good at articulating himself, but he's just so like he's got a really positive, great mindset for the fight game and just life in general. Like he said something about like I think his parents were like alcoholics or something in Hawaii, and he said something about like, if you give up on yourself, you're just a loser. Then you just become a loser, and that's your identity for the rest of your life. And you don't want to be a loser. So if you don't want to be a loser, you have to pick yourself back up again, and you have to move forward. And it's just like very motivational. I'm not gonna lie.
Do you think at any point your path, it seemed like you were so close to crossing paths, and now obviously you're on a different trajectory. Do you think at any point you will meet him at this point?
Now he's too far. Now he's too far. We don't see Paddy in the horizon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we don't say him anymore. Bye, Paddy. I didn't even have to go inside the octagon to beat him. So that feels even a little bit better to be.
What a diss. What a diss, dude. I didn't have to go into the octagon to beat him. It's kind of like Tom Aspinall saying I didn't have to go I didn't even have to fight John Jones to beat him. Essentially, I think what he's referring to is he beat him mentally, or like I guess not beat him mentally, but because he lost to Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett lost to Justin Gaethje. Sorry, I had a brain fart right there. I think he's just like, I didn't even have to like fight him because he already lost his fight, and it's like, I think he's just throwing stones at him, and I think it's hilarious. I cannot wait to see like Paddy Pimblett's like response to this, Nate Diaz's response to this interview, Justin Gaethje's response to this interview, Islam Makhachev's response to this interview. Oh, this is exciting. Let's go.
Be honest.
Obviously, a lot was said about the potential fight against Islam. Could I ask you regarding that? Were you going to have to give up the lightweight title in order to fight him if that fight came to fruition for June 14th?
This is interesting.
What you said?
Were you going to have to give up the lightweight belt if they were going to book you versus Islam? Were you going to have to give up the lightweight belt, or are they going to let you keep it?
Not really. They would let me keep it.
Okay, because usually these days, like
this is a completely different situation than the situation that I had when I was fighting in the featherweight division. Like I was very honest to them when I wanted to move up. I was like, listen, I want to live this belt because I'm never gonna come back to the featherweight division because I really want to change the weight class. But if I will move up to the welterweight division, it's gonna be different because after that fight, I would come back to the lightweight division.
So that's very interesting, and I think a lot of fans were curious about this whole part because if you go up to like welterweight, Ilia Topuria, and you fight Islam Makhachev and you win because he says he's gonna win by, I'm not gonna give you a spoiler here, but he's gonna say how he's gonna win the fight. If he were to win the fight that way in that fashion as well, that would be awesome. Like I'm not gonna doubt him on that because he's done everything and said everything he's gonna do, but like. That would suck, like, for the welterweight division. I mean, imagine how Ian Gary might be feeling. Not that I care about how Ian Gary really feels. I'm not an Ian Gary fan, as you guys know. If you watch this channel regularly, Colin is a massive Ian Gary fan, and I laughed at Colin because I was like, dude, I do not like Ian Gary, nor do I think he has any chance against Islam Makhachev. But this is besides the entire point. This is not for this video. It's for another video. So my point being is that, like, it would be crazy for him to, or like for the UFC to go, let him go up to welterweight, fight Islam Makhachev, and then go back down to lightweight, which I think makes sense, to be honest with you, like completely sense. I just think it sucks for the welterweight division because then you'd have a vacant title and you'd have that whole mess again, like you had with the light heavyweight title. Dude, the light heavyweight title is a whole mess, and that's also another video for another day.
We've heard, you talk about your tweets. I've seen Islam's tweets. I've seen your manager, Makikawa's tweets, one of your managers. Ali Abdelaziz, Dana White. Can you tell, what is the real story? Why isn't this fight happening on June 14th?
Listen, I don't know the real story. What I know is that since the first phone call that I get, I had like two options, Islam and Justin Gaethje. And we said like, we want Islam because it's bigger fight and all that. Then the day before that they were like about to announce the event, they called me in the middle of the night. They wake me up and they told me Islam is injured. Something happens with his hand or I don't know what, and you are gonna fight Justin. Like Makikawa, he had to go like through a lot of negotiations, like with every fight that we close, and finally I'm fighting Justin. That's the story from my side.
That's pretty interesting. I did a video on this as well with Makikawa from the Anakin Florin podcast and him talking about the whole fight. What I really like about Ilia Topuria specifically is that he is a winner's winner. Like, I don't even know what the fuck that means. He's a winner. He's just a winner. Like, and I like the fact that he's like this, and I like the fact that he's a very like specific professional. Especially, he's gonna make some comments about Arman Tsarukyan in a bit, so you know what I mean by that. But the other thing too is just like, this whole fight, like, I do think it would be an incredible fight. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, double champ versus double champ, essentially. Like, featherweight, lightweight champ versus lightweight, welterweight champ. Pound for pound, number one pound versus pound for pound, number two. Just basically like the Alex Volkanovski fight against Islam Makhachev. Now, let's go back into it because I did think Alex Volkanovski did win that fight against Islam Makhachev, but that is also for another video as well.
That's all I know.
When you came to that realization, were you disappointed?
Not really. As I told you before, like whatever happens, it's good for me. It's Islam good. It's Justin good. The result is gonna be the same.
Aljo should you learn this like attitude from Ilia Topuria. Honestly, like I'm not. I like Aljo. Like I like Aljo as a fighter. I don't like him as a person. I think he is such a whiny bitch. Okay, but with that said, he'd beat my ass and he'd kick my ass and he'd also yeah, he would tear me apart. That said, I just think if he had the mindset, like honestly, I think if Aljo could work on his mindset, honestly, I think that would be the only thing he really needs, to be honest with you. Mindset literally controls all of it.
Were you told in the aftermath of this, hey, you win this fight, he wins his next fight, maybe we'll do this the end of the year. We still want to do this fight.
No one told me anything about it.
What is your plan? What is your hope?
My goal as a sportsman is always to achieve great things in the sport. So what bigger can you achieve as a sportsman to collect the third belt? So I would love to defend my belt against Justin and then have the opportunity to move up in the welterweight division and get my third belt. That will be my perfect scenario. But who knows?
Okay, I want to hear from you guys what your thoughts are as well, because about this fight. Do you think Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria do have the fight by the end of 2026, or do you think it's something that's going to happen at the beginning of 2027? Like, I'm curious to see what happens here, because I think this fight potentially could happen. Now, if it were to happen, I do think, obviously Ilia Topuria has to win against Justin Gaethje in devastating fashion, and Islam Makhachev has to win in devastating fashion his next fight as well, which I do see him winning, unless it's Michael Morales.
If you did go up and it goes well for you at 170, would you want to stay?
It will go well for me.
I apologize.
Sure.
I apologize. Would you stay there, or would you go back? Do you feel like 55 is your best class?
Like lightweight division is my best weight class. Like this is that's the weight class that I belong to. But you never know. You know what I mean? I never thought in my life that one day I would want to move up in the welterweight division. But now you see like the whole situation that is basically forced me to move up, because we have a guy in the welterweight division who was fighting in the lightweight division, dominating everyone. And I think that everyone wants to see that fight. So no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow.
Do you think he?
Yeah, that's completely true. And like, it is a fascinating fight, to be honest with you guys. Like, really fascinating fight. And I do think it's weird though, like that Islam Makhachev decided to move up. I don't think he's ducking him, which is, I think that's the question Ariel's going to ask right now. But I don't think he's ducking him. But let's hear what Ilia Topuria has to say about that.
He left
the only thing I know is that I'm gonna be prepared. Whenever the opportunity appears, I will be ready.
Do you think he left the lightweight division because he didn't want to fight you?
I love an answer.
I don't know. I don't wanna blame him for something that I don't know 100%. You know what I mean? I don't know the reasons why he moved up, but who cares? I don't care.
Okay. Can I be honest with you, Ilia? That's a great fight. I really want to see you versus Arman.
Ooh, okay. So now he's gonna go into the Arman Tsarukyan thing, and I want to preface before he gets into the Arman Tsarukyan thing. You guys have to see his like reaction. So he's already reacted to Paddy Pimblett, him fighting Paddy Pimblett, him fighting Islam Makhachev, him fighting Justin Gaethje as well. He's talked about like all these fighters being incredible fighters, right? Charles Oliveira. I don't know if he said that yet. I've watched his interview like 4 times already, but he said like Charles Oliveira is a great fighter. Ilia Topuria is obviously a great fighter. He even says he's the GOAT at one point. And then he kind of walks it back as well. But he says like it's for the fans. Anyways, he also says like Max Holloway is a great fighter. Alex Volkanovski was a great fighter. So now, pay attention to just pay attention to how he talks about Arman Tsarukyan in the beginning and how he answers it, and then he's gonna pivot into, basically bashing Arman Tsarukyan's character. But before he talks about that, and this question just came up, watch how he answers the question.
Yeah,
I want to see that just as much. So the idea of you moving up is great too, but I think Arman should be fighting you on June 14th.
Now, I think what's happening here is that because Arman Tsarukyan has so much star power right now, currently, where he's at, I think he's so excited. But if you look at Ilia Topuria's face, and if you paid attention, like I asked you to, while you're watching this video, thank you for those of you watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. But if you pay attention to Ilia Topuria's face and the way he does it, and the way he answers the question, I think he was caught off guard. I don't think he expected that question to be asked to him, which ironically, I think he could have thought about that, but it's okay. And I think he was caught off guard when when Ariel Helwani brought that up to him.
I think he's the number one contender. What do you think of that?
Listen, as I said in many interviews, I just got the call. They offered me Islam or Justin. I picked Islam. Then they told me that Islam was injured.
Sure.
I was said that I was facing Justin. If they call me tomorrow and they tell me that Justin is injured and I have to fight Arman, I will fight Arman, no problem. If they call me and they tell me that Arman is injured, I have to fight Ariel, I'm gonna fight Ariel.
Please
no
don't.
problem. Like I can, I go whoever, whenever. Just, I'm ready.
Yeah, so he says this. I think he has some micro expressions that shows he's not really interested in the Arman Tsarukyan fight. Now, I don't think he's scared of Arman Tsarukyan, but I do think he sees that there is a potential way that the fight ends up going where Arman Tsarukyan lands on top and defeats him. That said, I mean, before Ilia Topuria came into the UFC, he was known for his grappling game. In fact, if you go watch his first fight that he had in the UFC, they're talking about his grappling and like his incredible grappling skills. All of a sudden, he becomes a knockout artist. He comes into the UFC, becomes a knockout artist. Ilia Topuria is incredible, honestly. And if you look at all his fights that he's had, Alex Volkanovski, where he knocks him out, he knocks out Max Holloway, he knocks out Charles Oliveira. All those fighters won their next fight after fighting Ilia Topuria and losing to him. They all won their fights afterwards. So that just tells you the levels that they're on. They're not washed fighters. They won their fights afterwards. I think even Josh Emmett won his fight after the Ilia Topuria lost to Bryce Mitchell. But I think he won against Josh Emmett. I think won against Bryce Mitchell. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if that fight was before after the Ilia Topuria fight.
For whoever.
Since you last fought and he last fought, Arman has done a great job of getting himself out there through social media and wrestling matches. Have you been impressed with? Because I feel like now he's a bigger star, which makes the fight even bigger.
I'm really impressed of how dumb he is.
Tell me why.
He's a retard. I don't know. He looks like a kid. He's a kid. Like his mentality. He's dumb as fuck. I don't know. Everything that I saw about him in the internet, it's embarrassing.
So he's saying this, and I think he's coming from the state of mind that okay, this guy's trying to fight a fan at UFC 300, right? This guy tried to headbutt, or he didn't try to. He headbutted Dan Hooker as well. Like he just he gets into these brawls with people, like the Georgia Poulos thing at RAF. I think it was 06, if I'm not mistaken. And he has that thing with Uriah Faber this past weekend at RAF 08, a real American freestyle wrestling, right? And he and Arman Tsarukyan pushes Uriah Faber off of the whole stage and stuff onto the concrete, which is actually really scary if you think about that. It's actually not really funny because both of them could have got terribly injured and stuff like that. But at the same time, Arman Tsarukyan just does all these crazy little shenanigans, right? And he's gonna talk about his whole persona online about being rich and stuff like that. It says oh, it's not his money, it's his dad's money. I get where he's coming from in that perspective, but I also think I don't see Ilia Topuria being the type of guy to hate on someone else. So I don't see him having envy for someone else. So I do find that part a little funny, but yeah, let's see what he says.
A little bit.
Like what in particular? What makes you feel like he's dumb?
I don't know. Just fuck Arman. Who cares about him?
Okay.
I don't care.
Do you feel like the fight is bigger now, though?
The thing that I don't like is when they play that they rich and they show all that money, and it's like, bro, you don't even rich. You that poor that the only thing that you have is money, and you are spending your father's money, not even yours. So you know what I mean. He's a fucking kid.
You tweeted after his last fight, Arman, every time we see each other in person, you freeze up like a scared duck with no idea what to do. You know I handle you however I want. I fight whoever the UFC chooses. And remember, I slapped you and you just laughed. So can you tell us about this interaction? You posted a very quick clip, but what did you feel? What did you see from him when you saw each other?
So let's go to that real quick because I do have that on look, you know, how it is here. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think this is really a slap, so to speak. So you guys, Armin, every time we see each other in person, you freeze up like a scared duck with no idea what to do. You know I handle you however I want. I fight whoever the UFC chooses. And I remember I slapped you and you just laughed. Then you go around acting like a gangster. So keep going. You're on the right path, just a few levels below me, kid. Now, I don't think this was a slap, but we'll see it right now. So if you look here, he already had one hand on him, right? And then he puts a second hand on him and does a little slap thing. I think that's reaching. I'm going to be honest. I just think that's reaching. I don't think that's true. I don't think he had the slap on Arman Tsarukyan. So yeah, let's go ahead and hear what you guys say.
Well, the day before of the video that I posted, he tweeted something in Twitter, something like, "If I see you the next time, I do this or that." Like, you know how they play all that, like they all gangsters. And when we cross the paths, they are like, "Oh, how are you? All good." They smile. They like humble. Normal human beings. But in Twitter, everyone is a gangster. Everyone is like, "Oh, let's solve this in the street and all that." Bro, I'm a professional athlete. I'm not a street fighter. I'm not a gangster. You know what I mean?
So yeah, he says, "Oh, I'm not a street fighter. I'm not a gangster. I'm a professional fighter." Right? I love this like whole sense of aura that he has, and like this, not aura, but like this whole idea and perspective that he has about himself, and it's his whole identity that he's created and stuff like that. Now, I think that he's absolutely right, and I think that the people who here's the thing, right? Like some people just take this too heart, which I don't think he's taking too hard. I think he's just making like more of a show, and I think he's making that fight bigger than it can be potentially now. So like let's say if Ilia Topuria does beat Justin Gaethje, right, at the UFC White House, the UFC 250, do they hype up Arman Tsarukyan for the winner of that fight? And I think they do. And if they do, and it's Ilia Topuria, I think Ilia Topuria possibly has that fight with him because at that time, Makhachev might already have a fight lined up. I mean, there's rumblings about Makhachev fighting Ian Gary at the moment, but this hasn't been confirmed or announced. So, with that being said, like I just think he might be trying to drum up that fight, so to speak. So let's go back into it.
And so you think this is all just kind of for show?
Yeah, I don't know if it's for show. I think it's because they are dumb as fuck.
Fair enough. Did you feel that way to the point where you want to like fight him and prove him wrong, or do you not feel like he's on your level? Because in that tweet you said your level's below me.
He's not on my level. If we cross the paths, like I'm gonna break his job in the first round. Like what he's gonna do? He's gonna take me down. Bro, please listen to me. Calm down. Do your thing. Go to those wrestling tournaments. Do your streams. And whenever the moment that arrives, just make sure to show up, and I'm gonna do the rest. The little weasel.
I love how he throws the dig at Arman Tsarukyan, and his trash talk has gotten a lot better. Honestly, like I know a lot of us said that his trash talk wasn't that good, and sometimes he was he came off the wrong way a little bit with some of the stuff he would say in the past fights. But this time, I think his trash talk is getting way better. Yeah, I like this interview a lot. I, as you can tell, very enthusiastic about this.
How do you feel like the fight against Justin plays out? How long do you think it lasts?
If he's not gonna start walking backward, I'm gonna knock him out in the first round.
Wow. So you think,
Like as I always say, I feel that no one can match my level of skills inside the octagon. And when I say that, they start calling me that I'm cocky, that I'm this, that I'm that. But prove me wrong. Like, prove me wrong.
That's earned confidence right there. That's earned confidence from taking action, from have that, like I said earlier, mind, body, spirit connection, and not just truly believing in yourself, but putting the work in to make it happen, right? So yes, I completely agree. Prove him fucking wrong. And I don't know. Like my heart wants to say Justin Gaethje will prove him wrong, but I don't think so. But crazier things have happened in the past, right? So, I mean, yeah, crazier things have happened in the past. I'm trying to think of any recent upsets that we could think about. Um, there was one quite recent. There was an upset so quite recently. I just can't remember the upset that I'm thinking about. But let's get back into it.
that hasn't happened yet?
It didn't happen yet.
What about the fight against Islam? In your opinion, how would it have played out?
Oh, before he answers this is incredible, by the way, and I think he's actually right. And I like to hear his mindset on what he's about to say. So just listen.
Like when I get the opportunity to fight with someone, I always used to think about what can I do to really shock the world. So with Islam, I'm like, to shock the world, I have to submit him. So this is what I think that's going to happen. I'm going to take him down and I'm going to submit him.
Wow. Early.
He's going to take Islam Makhachev down, who arguably took Charles Oliveira, the submission artist, the guy with the most submissions, in his title fight against him, and submitted him to the point where he just tapped out right the fucking way. Like right away. And that's what I meant to say. But he tapped out right away. Like Charles Oliveira tapped out right away. Charles Oliveira has the most submissions in the UFC. What? He's going to tap out Islam Makhachev. How many of you disagree with that? Comment down below. And subscribe, by the way. Subscribe as well. But comment down below because holy shit. Do you think he could submit Islam Makhachev? I actually don't doubt it because, like I said earlier, he came in as a grappler into the UFC and then he goes and knocks out a bunch of people. So I mean I don't see him not doing it. He said everything he can do so far and he's done it. Dude, I didn't give him credit for the Alex Volkanovski knockout because I was like, oh, he just got knocked out by Islam Makhachev. But then Alex Volkanovski goes and wins his next fight.
Late. What are you feeling?
Whoa.
Yeah, like your promotion. Wow,
I
FC.
know that. Listen, I know that inside yourself, maybe it sounds a little bit weird, like strange, like, listen, how you're going to take him down, how you're going to submit him. But don't be surprised when you are going to see that happen.
I'm not doubting you, by the way. It's just not, you don't hear every day someone say, yeah, I'm going to go out and submit Islam Makhachev. He's that good, especially on the ground.
He's good. Everyone is good. Justin is good. Alex is good. Charles is good. Max is good. Everyone is good, but I'm different.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think he made a good point there too. Like everybody is really good. Like I said earlier, everyone's won their fights right after they fought him. So enough said there.
And so
I'm the GOAT. Nah.
Are you?
Okay, so he just said, I'm the GOAT. And Ariel goes, are you? And then he just goes, no, right after. Is it because of Arman Tsarukyan? The immature little child.
Do you feel that way?
Nah, not really.
I think
not
you
really.
do.
I don't like to claim myself as the GOAT of the sport. I always like to leave those decisions to the fans. They are the people that happen, like the ones that take that decision.
Yeah, no, he's right. He's completely right about that. And I don't think he should be crowning himself the GOAT as well. In fact, I think John Jones crowning himself as the GOAT, doing the whole bad thing, I think that actually makes him less of a GOAT.
Do you think you're number one pound for pound?
Of course. It's not that I think, I know so.
A month after your fight, it sounds like we're getting the return of Conor McGregor. And one could argue that that would be the biggest fight in the UFC by far, you versus him. Is this something that you're thinking about? Is this something that's on your radar?
I love the way he answers this whole question, by the way. I love the way he answers this question. And the reason why I'm pausing it is just because, like, you have to listen to the way he answers this question and what he says, because a lot of people approach this very differently. If you ask anyone if they want the fight against Conor McGregor, they literally will like fall over their fucking heels because they want that fight, that red panty night.
Probably it's not on my radar, but if I get offered that about that fight, we'll see on where Conor's gonna be at that point. If he gets a win, a great comeback, he wins his next fight, and I get offered that fight, we'll see.
It's not something you'll ask for?
I never close the doors for those kind of opportunities. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Even
what I like here is that he's saying that, like, it's just like I was saying, like, if anyone else is asked for a Conor McGregor fight, or if they would take it, they just say yeah, like right away. Like look at I'll see at the top, Michael Chandler. He waited for 2 years, arguably probably the best times of his career. It didn't improve his fight IQ at all, and waited for McGregor, which I don't blame him because I know what was at stake. He also did the tough season 30 or whatever it was with Conor McGregor, and then proceeds to have that fight lined up, and then Conor McGregor hurts his toe or whatever, pinky toe or whatever, and decides to pull out of the fight. But I think this is a smarter approach because he's not saying he's going to put his whole career on stop. He's saying basically, if Conor McGregor comes back and Conor McGregor looks good, arguably looks good, then I will go ahead and fight him. That makes so much more sense. And that gives McGregor a lot more ambition and a lot more excitement and like motivation to go ahead and win his next fight when he comes back into the UFC at International Fight Week. Against who, we don't know if that's even confirmed. We don't know. We heard Dana White talking about it over the weekend. That fight is looking good and it's coming along. And once they know something, they'll announce it, right? But with that being said, I like the way he approached the whole McGregor question.
We are not on the same level right now. Maybe on the popularity and all that, like he's popular and a lot of people knows about him. But sports-wise, we all know that he's almost done.
Do you think he beats Max?
So he says that they're not on the same level. And when he said that initially, most people are thinking he's going to talk about like their fighting skills and stuff like that. I love the fact that he took the approach about popularity and that he said that, McGregor's obviously more popular than him. It just shows how humble he is. But at the same time, how confident he is as well.
You never know. I thought that Max was going to beat Charles, and he lost by complete domination. So I don't know. With Conor, you never know. You never know. Sometimes he goes in, he makes it look easy. Sometimes he lost to Nate Diaz. Bro, when you lose to Nate Diaz, it's very difficult to make predictions about someone like him.
You don't rate?
I love Nate Diaz, but I can't believe he said that. That's just crazy.
Nate very high.
Bro, he sucks. He's a punching bag.
This is 2016 Nate Diaz. 10 years ago, he was in his prime.
It doesn't matter, bro. He sucks. He's a fucking punching bag.
Wow.
Ilia, we've missed you.
Come on, man. I miss you too.
We missed you. Congratulations on Richard Milley.
Yeah, there we go. Ariel's ball hugging again. Dude, I just can't believe the way he talked about like the whole Nate Diaz thing and the way he's just like sucks as a fighter. But he's not wrong. Like McGregor lost to Nate Diaz. I think what happened was in that fight, McGregor was always like getting into people's heads, right? You saw that against Dustin Poirier. You saw that against like Jose Aldo. Why I say Jose Aldo? But you saw that against those fighters, and then you see him fight Nate Diaz and try to get into his head. And Nate Diaz had such a like strong mind that he was like, nah, motherfucker, suck. Like, yeah, it was just incredible fight. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. If you have been watching my videos for a while, I just want to encourage you to leave me a like, leave a comment down below. Thank you very much for being a fan of the MMAK YouTube channel as well. If you guys have any particular things you'd like for me to include in the upcoming videos that I'm going to be doing, please let me know. In fact, I'm going to be doing a video later this week in regards to Aljamain Sterling versus Youssef Zalal. So if you want me to talk about Youssef Zalal, the Aljamain Sterling fight, any of the particulars on that fight itself, I actually put up a poll already today. If you haven't already taken a look at that, go ahead and fill that out as well. I basically asked who you think will win the fight, but just real quick, Youssef Zalal already had a fight against Ilia Topuria and arguably had a very competitive. How do you say this? Let me share this thought. It was basically like Zalal's grappling basically gave Topuria real problems before gassing out, and this is like his basically prove you belong against the legend moment, if you'd say, so to speak, versus Aljamain Sterling. So let me know down below who you think is gonna win, Aljamain Sterling or Youssef Zalal. What you thought about the fight or the interview with Ariel Helwani and Ilia Topuria, and I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.